All right. Well, good day, and good day. I am so glad to have a moment to chat with you all. Um, I got started this morning, and this is just a quick heads up. I thought, oh, I'll just do a quick recording and put it up and go. And then I thought, well, I can record and do the live kind of at the same time, although I may not do a lot of interaction on the live. That's because I'm trying to move with a little bit more speed. But we'll see how we do. But anyway, good day, good day, good day. It's good to have everyone here. I did skip out on Christmas, doing a live during the Christmas holiday. I sort of took a break, but I did kind of check in on YouTube from time to time and listen in on other people who were giving their broadcasts. I'd like to welcome you all to another quick chat of All for Success. And we are definitely a Sussex friendly channel. I like to always let everyone know that my perspective is generally that of a parent of adult children. So that gives you a little bit of a hint as to my age range, right? And I want you all to know that my support of the Sussex family would be like that of a grandmother, and I definitely relate very much to perhaps what Lady Doria Raglan may be going through, thinking about, or the way she may be also navigating the streets that she's finding herself in. So, with that said, I would also like to move to also encourage everyone who can. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to encourage you all. My one thing that I need to continue to support is fitness. Of course, like I said, being the parent of adult children, we need to make sure we stay as fit as possible. We need to keep up our walks. We need to keep up our Pilates if that's what you're doing, yoga, or simply walking from day to day or jogging a little bit. I even have friends in my age range that are still running marathons full out. I find that amazing because I wake up every morning a little bit more sore than the morning before. But here we'd like to encourage each other to continue moving in that way. So, for those of you who would like to report whatever type of fitness you have accomplished over the past week or so, and remember, I know everyone is getting ready for the New Year's resolutions, and in everyone's chart is always weight loss or fitness or eating right or drinking less or smoking less. So I'm here to encourage you to do all those things by helping me keep up with my fitness routine. So, just in my report, and I'll type it in the comments later, know that I did get a mile walk in over the holidays. Not every day, but I did do that at least twice during the week. So, I need all of you to encourage me to keep doing that, and I will encourage you. So, stay fit, and remember, we have to stay healthy if we are interested in supporting anyone else. And I find supporting what I see happening in and around the Sussex family, I find supporting that a positive influence in my life and in others, because I want you all to know that as you look at the news, and if you're paying attention to some of these things, it can be disheartening. If you're not careful, you will find yourself dragged into or sucked into some really dark places as you keep an eye on what is happening in the world. We have a lot of things hitting the news feeds as well as some of the tabloid feeds. And from my perspective, if I were talking to, again, children, right, adult children, I want to encourage you that don't ever fall for this thought process that everything is coming to such a quick end. I want you to be encouraged that in general, what you see right in front of you, the things that you can make changes to, the way that you can alter, sometimes uplift yourself, is to look at what is absolutely within your own reach. Oftentimes, we become discouraged because we are looking at the world from such a long, long distance from where we are. And we have to really struggle against feeling that we cannot fight against some of the gigantic situations that are going on all around us in the world. So I want to encourage you all to think very cautiously about how your world is right around you. Not that you can't observe what's going on in the greater world, but that you also observe it with a arm's length or distance, and also sort of interact with it in a method of interest or entertainment. Don't get too um, what do you call it? Don't let it get too deep inside of you and your day to day. In other words, we still have to get up, go to work. We got to get up. You take your shower. You got to get up, brush your teeth, get up, make your bed. So make sure that you do those things on the daily. Keep your routines. But you can, of course, step in and out of what's going on and participate where you wish. Just don't feel that you have to be dragged into a downward spiral, because in our world today, everything is pushed into your face. Okay. Something that I have seen over my years of growth, that remember how much that fear is a tool. You have to keep in mind that it is always to someone else's advantage that you remain scared to death about everything. You know, it is to someone else's advantage that you're so fearful, that you're scared to death, that you go out and purchase things that you may or may not need. It's important to other people to keep you afraid, so that you will buy items you don't need, so that you will give them money. Because if you give me money, it will assure you of some kind of safety or happiness. So, I mean, just look again in the news feed overall. You have falling trust in our organizations. We have diminishing trust in the news that you read. We have diminishing trust in even the faith that we may have in our religious leaders. And it's one of the simplest things to keep people afraid of everything and scared and not knowing where to turn. So remember, take a deep breath, slow it down just a little, pay very close attention to what is directly in front of you, and then try your best to grab that enjoyment out of those things that are right there for you to put your hands and fingers on. Okay? Now that's kind of my what is called miniature sermonette. All right. So, if you are able to grab your coffee cups, go ahead and make your little warm drink, because where I live, it is gray outside. There's a little bit of mist falling in the air. It's chilly, and I want you to know this is not making me feel extremely awake. Okay, so I'm going to finish up my coffee, and then I might go out and take a walk or a bike ride. And I encourage each of you to join in the same way. Now, before we get started, what do I have to say? I need everybody to hit that like button. Yes, hit it just because you can, just because you can hear me. I would like for you to subscribe if you haven't. Well, why not? At least at this time, it's free because I'm new to doing this, okay? I'm so new, I'm not charging you yet. Now, 2024 may be a little bit different. but I might try to earn a dollar or two and help improve my own production. So please at least like, that's free. Go ahead and subscribe, that's free. Help me get my numbers up, so share. You may find that there's some other people that might be just as interested to hear my perspective on things. And also, feel free to provide your input. I love to read the comments, even if I don't get the opportunity to respond to them all. I want you to know that I do see your comments and I enjoy reading them. Now, we are coming up right here at the very, very end of 2023. I cannot believe I'm saying those numbers out loud, people. I remember being a teenager, dancing in circles in the street with my friends and neighbors, and we were singing a song called 1999 by Prince, and it had just come out, okay? Understand, that song had just come out. Uh-oh. Hold tight. I feel like I'm losing my sound. But anyway, um, we were laughing and dancing around because the music had started, and we were talking about how old we would be in 1999. And I want you all to know, I'm not going to tell you, because then you'll do some magical math and then you'll figure out how old I am. So we're going to skip all of that. Okay? I'm not giving, I'm not going to give up that. So you're not going to trick me into telling you how old I am. So anyway, just know that I was singing that song, and at the time I was a kid, okay? So to hear that we're now in 2023, it's phenomenal. And the fact that we're about to swing over to 2024, for me, is almost unbelievable. But I want everyone, if you accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish in 2023, or if you did not, just keep pushing forward, pick up wherever you left off, and continue moving as if you are just starting out, okay? Just understand each moment is a moment for you to start over. All right, you can do it. All right, now I'm going to see if I can find whatever slides I had set up for today. And you all bear with me. Let's see how I do, okay? All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. What I had done is I put my slides on automatic. Now I'm going to let them fly through like this because, of course, I originally attempted to do my slides as a, what do you call it, like a display, I guess is what you would call it. And I was going to set them up so that they ran automatically, right? I thought I was getting ready to do something really, really high tech. And then I figured, well, if I'm going to be doing this on my own, I actually need to be able to move my slides manually by myself. So now I've got to back up and sort that out correctly. So you guys, you get to see some of the slides, and then I'll go back and maybe chit chat over the same slides. Okay. So let's get started. All right. So what we have to understand, even as my slides are flying through, is that 2023 marked a really high mark of King Charles actually being crowned and coronated and brought into his placement as the actual king, because we lost Queen Elizabeth, right? The queen passed on, and that meant that the king had to go ahead and take on his duties and responsibilities. So this is kind of where we saw the Sussex world in that view. Um, we are seeing that the king has ascended, and those in and around the royal family that wanted, um, for sure, wanted Meghan Markle out of the picture. They accomplished that as Harry and Meghan left that area and moved towards the United States. And then the king ascended to the throne. So, in that sense, from the royal family, the level of what they wanted to accomplish and where they wanted to go as far as ensuring that the monarchy continues, that was accomplished. And the king is on the throne. Harry and Meghan are out of the picture. So they wanted to obtain. The problem is in this environment, they actually accomplished their mission through the method of horrible UK press and, of course, telling the entire world that they should hate, shun, and malign Harry and Meghan or the Sussex family, everything about them. That you should hate Harry and Meghan. You definitely should hate Meghan. You should blame her for anything and everything that is going wrong in the lives of the royal family. And it is absolutely okay. It's an okay thing to hope Harry will leave his wife and children behind and come back to the royal family. That's perfectly acceptable. Now, it's amazing to me that in this day and age that news sources, or if that's what they call themselves, UK tabloid sources feel absolutely comfortable saying out loud and on camera, basically, we hope Harry leaves his wife and his kids and comes back to the UK. But this is the mentality of what is being perpetuated in the UK. So the only question we have to ask ourselves as we look at this from a distance, we wonder, does the average person actually in the UK, the day-to-day people, do they truly agree with this mentality? Or is this actually just being advertised to the whole world, right? Like, does the average UK citizen truly feel comfortable saying this man should leave his wife and come back to the royal family? Now, here's the other thing about that mentality. As all of you who watch some of the more exciting Sussex channels, even I do, they often go over the topic of how Harry may have been handled and approached and treated by his family all of his life. And there are key terms that really stick out in my mind because I'm a parent, right? And I'm an old parent, don't forget that. Key terms stick out in my mind. How people praise Harry because he was so much fun, Fun. He was so much fun, right? Oh, they just loved him because he was so much fun. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that these days, that's a code phrase for this person basically acted like a buffoon. This person could be tricked and fooled. This person could be laughed at, right? He was fun. So we were always laughing at him. Every joke basically was at his expense. Isn't he funny? So, what the UK was not ready for once he settled down and got married, they were not ready for Harry to become a man because that is not what they wanted him to be. They needed him to remain a clown. Okay? So I just wanted to point that out as a parent. If you have young children, be careful. Be very mindful and very careful of the child that you think is just absolutely hilarious and everybody's laughing at. Because often that comes out of pain. Often the clowning is being done to cover some type of pain, right? Whether it's the pain of, I feel sad, I feel left alone, I need your attention, I don't think I'm good enough. Just keep that in mind with your own children. It's a difficult spot, and it's one to be paid attention to. And often, as parents, we miss it. We very often miss it. So I'm going to bounce back to that in a moment. So this year, we also had the opportunity to enjoy the movement of the Invictus Games. We definitely celebrated and saw that the Invictus Games did a phenomenal job. And we had fun watching a lot of the work that was put in on the Invictus Games and how successful they were. It was so much fun to check out how the people who attended looked like they were having a great time. It was also fun to watch all the newcomers participate. And we had a chance to see, I think it was Nigeria that was one of the new teams that came on board, and I believe also a team from Israel. But it was lovely to watch. I truly enjoyed the documentary series that came up before it as we watched that product and the affiliation of Meghan and Harry with the Invictus Games, and how the German community rallied around that wonderful, wonderful process. So that was also something that was covered this year. Those were things that were very positive. Now, these are the bigger items. Now, of course, like I said, on other channels, you're following a lot of the details that the Sussex team is participating in, and they did a fantastic job. So I want you all to know, if you didn't watch the Invictus Games, or if you didn't participate in watching the Invictus Games, you missed out on a real treat. And if you have an opportunity, please go back and enjoy seeing what's going on with the Invictus Games. It was absolutely phenomenal to see. And the soldiers and the servicemen that have been hurt, some of the injuries they sustained, both visible and invisible, and how they are coping with working in and around them. And, actually what I would call flourishing as they have increased their activity. So please, please enjoy those documentaries. I have some of my favorite characters, and I'll mention the name Gabe because he was an amazing person and his story is so interesting. So let's hope as that comes up I think they're doing the Winter Games in Canada. Let's hope we all get a chance to sit back and watch that and enjoy the stories that go along with it, because the Invictus Games was fantastic. All right, now let's get down to business. Also, through this year, we were able to view, of course, what I call the title of my chat here, the usual suspects. These are the media personalities and media people in the background, those who were the editors, the movers and shakers in the media that continued to craft the most negative stories they could find to put out into the atmosphere about the Sussex family. Their craft of some of the most negative pieces of information should make all of us ask this question: when have you ever heard such total negativity about people who have committed no crime? It is amazing. Like, you might hear stories about criminal personalities. And I think about people who were in the middle of court cases, folks like O.J. Simpson, or people like when different people were picked up and actually held because of some perceived infraction like child abuse. All of these type of things have been going on, but here we have two people who have actually committed no crime, and the smear campaign is thorough. I mean, it reached down into the crevices and the nooks and crannies of the internet personalities that want to make a few dollars by also being negative, right? But what we're going to do this year coming up, I ask everyone, strap on your armor, keep your mind clear, stay focused, and pay very close attention to what is really going on. Okay? Now, all of these folks became targets in a sense because they are part of the UK media, tabloid media, and even though the names have changed, many of them have also ended up a part of these lawsuits because they're trying to basically hide themselves. Now, here's what I want to mention, especially to someone if you're new to some of the things you're seeing happening. I don't want to give you too much of a history lesson, but I want you all to know that this situation that Harry is dealing with the UK media, this is not new. This is very old. And the interesting thing that is coming out is you're finding out that it was, in a sense, swept under the rug, that the content of news media or news personalities and private investigators trying to gather information on various personalities and celebrities by listening in on their phone call messages or even overhearing conversations and paying people that they knew to tell on them, right? So if you hired a maid or a cook or a person to clean your home, these people were being paid exorbitant amounts of money to talk to the media and tell them things about your personal life. So just imagine that. Just think about that. If you are a celebrity and you need to catch a train at 10 o'clock on Saturday to go visit a family member, imagine that you have a person working for you in your home and they're actually paid to call a reporter and tell them you're getting ready to take a train out of town to visit a family member. And imagine if that person overheard why, whether that person is sick, whether there's an illness, or whether there's any type of personal problem going on within your family, you know, just imagine. But you have a person that's working for you, you're paying them a salary, and yet they're calling a reporter and telling them what you're doing, what your movements are, who you're talking to, where you're going. The perception of that is ungodly. It really is. It's one thing to chase down a celebrity because you want to know what they're wearing, or hey, does this celebrity have on the shoes that were made by a special person? That's fantastic. But it is an entirely different category of lifestyle for people in and around me to actually be talking to reporters and telling them about my personal life, whether or not I went to the doctor, right? I have a cough, cold, or flu, and then you are contacting a reporter to tell them I went to the doctor to get some antibiotics. I mean, just think about that, right? But anyway, this is what Harry is doing. He is actually taking this case through the UK court system, which, as we all are observing, it is a very tainted situation. It is a tainted process. Um, from from the perspective of us in the United States, it is very interesting that the person who is actually the aggrieved victim of the crime is actually hailed in the public media as if they are in the wrong. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, talk about victim blaming, right? But we have to stay strong for this, and we all have to, of course, support how we feel about this, because this is the type of thing that the UK tabloids have placed under the umbrella of free speech for them and not being held to what they call being censored, like you're trying to stop them from actually saying what they want to say. It is amazing how they are putting those type of terms in a convoluted sense, right? In other words, I can lie about you. I can sneak into your house and open your mail, right? Listening in on your phone calls. But I should be left free to do that. Basically, they're saying, how dare you try to stop me from digging all into your private life? I mean, isn't that amazing? But from my perspective, when I look at the UK and what the UK has done as far as I I hate to use the term mind control, but I mean it is definitely advertising, marketing, and they have definitely created within their people some sort of bizarre interpretation of right and wrong. And it is very different from most of us. And I always say that in the terms of most of us, because I want to be clear. If you understand what they are talking about, as far as, I don't want to say being on their side, but if you can somehow wrap your head around what they do and the way they operate as if it is okay, I need you to understand whatever it is that you are, I am not. Now, I don't know where to take that, but they had an individual on a UK talk show, and believe it or not, it was on LBC, which was amazing to me because generally LBC is funny to me, and that's because I like the moderator, James O'Brien. He generally speaks to me in a very logical fashion. But they had another moderator on there. It was a female, and I don't know her name, blonde hair. She looked, like she had been pulled out of a burning building. But the point being, allegedly, right? But the point being, she looked a mess, but she was talking about how she didn't want Harry to actually win his case because she did not want the UK media, she did not want them to be regulated. Now think about that. She is actually saying in front of the world, I don't believe we should be regulated. And she had the audacity to comment on she wanted her news to be entertaining. She thought that news in France and news in places like the United States, the actual news stations, she didn't think they were entertaining enough. She thought they were boring. And she's thinking this, I'm assuming, because they're actually giving out factual news. But what she wants is to be entertained by the news. Now, imagine the insanity of that statement. But hey, that's what the UK somehow, the tabloid press has somehow shifted the mindset of the people in the UK to believe that that makes sense. Okay? Now just imagine, I think the last time I was on live, I was chatting to you all about a tornado that occurred in our area, right? We had a tornado touchdown. So imagine if I were to tell you about the tornado that damaged everything in our area. Would you like to turn on the Weather Channel, ladies and gentlemen? Can you imagine if you turn on the Weather Channel? And I'm not talking about the people who sing and dance or whatever after they do the weather and they tell you what's going on. But how about if I told you during the tornado, let's talk about how do I make that entertaining? Oh my goodness, people, let me snap my fingers and do a dance while I tell you, hey, 7 houses were destroyed during the tornado. Ha ha ha. Isn't that fun? Hey, can you imagine? I mean, what is wrong with a personality in the UK? What is the matter with you if you think that makes sense? But I digress. That is, in fact, what they were saying. Okay? We want the news to be entertaining. Crazy. Okay, now, okay, let me move on because I told you guys I wasn't going to be long and I'm wrapping up the year. All right. So, also this year, I also discussed some of the origins and techniques that the media and these outlets use to shadow how you think or to manipulate how people think. And during the October chats, I gave you all some background and insights as to how the term witchcraft, right, used to be applied to many of the techniques that you actually see, right? In October, I thought it was fun to discuss what it is that you may see going on sometimes with the royal family. And I know many of you are aware that you see what appears to be copying what appears to be people trying to do what they see Harry and Meghan or the Sussex family doing, right? For example, if they come out dressed a certain way, or if they participate in a particular charity, the way they speak at different organizational meetings, and then you look over in the UK the very next day or the very next week or whatever, you see someone attempting to perform that same type of skilled performance, right? So you have a trained actress who's been working for more than 10 years, and then you have someone jump into a situation in front of a camera and try to appear as casual and as relaxed and dressed practically the same way that you see Harry and Meghan dressing and moving in the United States. Well, folks, I want you to know, allegedly, right, that there are levels of witchcraft, is the term that was used, right, to explain what you see. There is a force called, I guess it's a force, but there is a maneuver called mimicking, right? And mimicking is a procedure used to create confusion. It's a procedure used to make you start to question which person actually is copying and imitating the other, right? There's an old movie, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but it's fun to watch if you haven't seen it. It was called Single White Female, and it was a movie about a girl who moved into an apartment with another young lady and all of a sudden tried to become this person. So I just want you all to, that's a reference, but that used to be a form of witchcraft. And so some of the things that you see, that's what it used to be termed when you provide smear campaigns to people, when you try to imitate other people, also when you accuse people of the crime you are committing. For example, if I'm stealing money from people, or if I have a charity that is fake and I'm moving money and laundering money, well, then what you're going to see is I'm going to make an accusation that you are, in fact, a money launderer. And the reason I'm going to make accusations about things like that is because that's what I am doing, right? And that, again, is in the old days would have been under the label witchcraft. And that is because that term was used to explain how to control other people, how to create situations that you have control over. Okay? So I want you all to keep that in mind. But I did go over that in October, and I would love to talk more about that later. Maybe next year we'll do some more informationals about it. All right? So just be ready for that. Now, as I'm about to wrap up a few of these slides, please know that also in this year, we finally saw the fall of one of the mighty, right? One of the mighty instigators, the creators of a whole bunch of nonsense, one of the storytellers and animated, what I call detractors of Harry and Meghan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we saw that one fall to their knees. Now, there were others, but they were minor in the situation. I think Schofield is one that also fell, and they all came tumbling down. And as they tumbled down into the nether regions, when they try to claw their way back up out of the pit that they put themselves in, they're going to put children on their laps, and they're going to come out with girlfriends, wives, or boyfriends, and they're going to sit underneath plants and trees and in fields of flowers, and they're going to try to tell you that you shouldn't hate them so much. So we lost one of our main characters, Dan Wooten, ladies and gentlemen. And what we're going to do is we're going to have to give him an applause and say goodbye. 23. Goodbye, Dan. Okay, now just understand it may not be over, and you may see some of these creatures again, but we're going to say farewell. All right. Now, the other thing that happened this year as well, we want to give a real positive light to. Oh, I love these effects. Ingame, that's another book. Now, this book has gotten less traction than Spare. Oh, by the way, Spare, it seems, rated number 1 for the year 2023. Yay! Okay, but we're going to divert to Ingame is another thing that showed up this year at the end of the year. And I'm going to mention this. I know a lot of people may not want to support the book itself, but the key is, here's why I want to talk about this book. I listened to the Audible on this one as well. But what I want to mention about this book is this. This particular book, if you are able to check out a couple of the chapters talking about the royal rota, understand that it is a road map. Okay? Like, you're also paying attention to the court cases that are going on with Harry and Meghan, but there is also a roadmap for how some of these charges are going to be brought. And if you read Ingame, you will gain some insight as to how these things are happening and who is connected to who. That is important as we see what is going on. Very much important. Very much important. Okay, so before I go on, I'm about to, like I said, I'm going to try to go through real quick. I want to thank some of you for all of your comments, and I have a couple of the comments that I love the way you all are making notes, and I see them spinning up on my chart. But I want to thank a few of you. I want to thank you because I've seen your names here, and I'm so glad to have you. Mesa Trees. I think that is fantastic. Thank you so much for all of your compliments, and thank you so much for your support. I'm going to try to do much more work. I'm going to try to do this better, and I hope I get to show you my progress as I go. I'm also seeing Rafaela Bertoni in the chat. Thank you, Miss Rafaela. I appreciate that you are in the chat and making comments. I love it. And I want you all to continue to come in when I have a chat from time to time. And I thank you so much for your support. As I see the names scrolling by, I want you all to know I'm really just now getting on my toes, and I'm really going to try to learn to do much more of this work and in a better way. But again, please, let's just stay focused. Of course, we got to stay focused and support our families. Ours and theirs. So as I began to wrap this up, I'm so excited about all of the things of this 2023 that have occurred, all of the things that were positive, and we are now going to move into 2024. Ladies, listen, give yourselves a thumbs up, give yourselves an applause, because we have stuck to it. And even when things look like they are settling down, slowing down, or going by. Even in those circumstances, the Sussex family is still continuing to drive forward, and we need to do the same. So, I want to point out that all the royal family had to do from day one, even if they were having a problem with Meghan Markle, whatever their specific individual problems were, all they had to do was sit down with her one on one and say, "We don't understand you. We find you offensive because you are doing XYZ. Could you please stop doing that?" Or all they had to do was say, "You know what? We're sorry that you are having such a hard time. We don't know what to do about it." But at the very, very least, they could have just said in a statement like they put things out, "Recollections may vary." If they had simply put out, "We are sorry for making her feel unwelcome. We're going to do everything we can to show that we are welcoming. We don't care about her crazy family. They're insane. But we too have crazy people in our families," right? That's all they had to do. "Meghan, we are sorry. We did not mean to put you in a position where you felt hated. We don't mean that." That's all they had to do, right? They could have sorted out the money later. They could have sorted out, well, where do you all want to work? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? They could have done all of that later. All they had to do was say, "I'm sorry." So now, as I'm about to wrap this up, here's what I wanted to point out. Instead of that, now they've had to find out that they are now being introduced to Harry, actually Prince Henry, right? Prince Henry, and he has an extremely long name, Mountbatten Windsor, right? And here's what they're beginning to realize: that what I began in the beginning, and I told you how much they were all talking about, "He used to be so much fun. Oh, he's just not the same. He used to be so much fun." Okay, now they're introduced to the adult, the grown man, and as parent of adult children, right? Here's something I need to let you know. And all of you all are in the same age group as me. You understand this, that there is a point where you notice that your children are adults. They're not children anymore. Yes, I run up to my kids all the time and wrap my arms around their neck and try to squeeze them like I did when they were like, 4, 5, and 6, right? And I try to kiss them on their cheeks and all that like I used to. Yeah, of course I still do. But what do? They push me off and go, "Ugh, get away from me." Okay, well, that's what adult kids do. But what's the point? There is a point when this child that was so much fun as a teenager and making you laugh, and always you were laughing at him, this is now a grown man. You understand? This is a war-hardened grown man. And now you realize you are on the run. And you know what? All you had to have done was apologize, but you weren't able to do that. So now you're running. And you know what? I think you should continue to run because you deserve it. So you know what you should do? Run for your life. And I am so excited to see them all on the run for their very lives, because they absolutely deserve what is happening to them. So they're on the run. And so we're also finding that we have several other names and several other people that are also about to go down. And you just keep in mind who these people are that have been named in these books. And like I said, follow the dots in Ingame if you have the chance. Because between the books Spare and the book Ingame, there is a slow roadmap of who is who in this scenario. And I know the UK media, they're trying everything they can. They're continuing to throw at them the kitchen sink to try to figure out if there's anything they can use that will trigger Harry to quit pushing this lawsuit. But he told them, he absolutely warned them, I am going to see this through to the end. He told them that. And his last mission statement after winning this very small piece of this court case, he told them that he is fighting dragons. And just like in the ancient stories where the hero is out fighting a dragon to try to slay the dragon and the odds are against him, he is letting you know that his battle is going to continue and his fight is to the death. And I tell you what, after reading all of these books and remembering that I was a young woman when Princess Diana met her end, I tell you, they better hope, and these people better cross their fingers, that something nefarious does not show up out of the woodwork, that some perhaps elderly person shows up out of a corner of the world and actually has a story to tell about what may have pushed Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed into that tunnel at the speed they were going and caused their death. You know, it's been a number of years, but I tell you what, they better hope is that nothing new shows up in these court documents, papers, tapings, and things of the like. Because if that is the case, these folks are going to see the real adult grown-up Harry is going to take them apart. And they fear that, as they should. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you all again for coming. And I appreciate your participating in this chat. I just love to put on this crowd applause, people. I really do. I love that. I do. I just love that. Makes me feel like a movie star. But I want to thank all of you for participating. Thank you again. Yes, Mesa Trees also ended that the mission goes on, and you are 100% right. And thank you, Miss Bertoni. Again, Raffaella Bertoni. I love that name. Ingame is interesting. It also is a book of history. Somewhat, you are somewhat correct. And he's younger than I am. So I want you to understand that he is covering things that he is seeing now, current. But much of this same type of campaign, much of this behavior in the media was very, very similar to Diana. I mean, they unleashed a barrage, which was a nightmare. But again, we're going to keep our eyes open. We're going to stay focused and pay attention and support where you can. Last thing, I heard, or I was reading a couple of comments on Twitter at one point where there was a discussion between how older people approach being in the Sussex squad. You know, we try to stay positive. We try to stay uplifting. And, you know, I love the thought process that we're going to try to stay high, you know, so forth. And then the younger crowd, and I'm going to call them the TikTok crowd, okay? The younger crowd is like, no, If they see a comment they don't like, they're jumping on someone, they're attacking, they're harsh in the comment sections, and they're saying things underneath some of these talk TV comment sections or Palace Confidential. I mean, they're coming in there guns a-blazing. And I've seen that there's a commentary about how there's a difference between these two approaches. Listen, I got to tell you, even though I'm older and I'm going to try to stay positive, and I'll make comments sometimes. You'll probably see some of my comments in some of these commentaries where people say something that's truly negative. I don't do it too much and I don't do it all the time because I'm aware that much of it is bot driven. It's not, to me, it's bot driven or it's paid for. So to me, that's not worth my time to really comment back on. However, if I see something and it's a comment and it appears to be actually a real person, in my opinion, that appears uninformed, then I'm going to make a comment back on that. And I might go back and forth with them for a while. But I understand different people have a different approach. But remember, when you have a battle like this going on, I want to say I support all the different types of personalities because it takes a coordinated effort to fight against what you see here. And that's because they have mounted a coordinated effort against the Sussex family. So I support, even though sometimes it's a little negative, I support those who feel that kind of empowered to say things the way they say it, right? Of course, try to keep it clean if you can. I'm just saying. But if you can't, I understand. All right. But thank you all once again. Thanks again for coming. Thanks again for being here. I don't know if I'll take maybe a weekend or two off through New Year's and maybe the holiday right after. But I want to tell you that I appreciate it. I'm going to try to post a couple of things during this time. They may not be chats, but I might post things in the meantime. But please, one more time, yes, please share, and subscribe. Please do those things for me. It will really help me move along and encourage me. Thank you all again. I'm sorry I went over the hour. I didn't mean to, but I appreciate your being here. And please do come back again. And hey, bring a friend. Why not? I would love that. So take care and Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year.